A mistake I see pretty frequently with interview prep is that people know their career really well, but they never actually sit down to build out their stories in advance of the interview. They're constructing their answer live under pressure for the first time. I'm Paula Christensen, a certified professional interview coach and resume writer, and I've had my business Strategic Career Coaches for 11 years, and this is one of the exercises I walk almost every client through when we're doing interview prep. Step 1 is to identify the questions you keep getting asked. Think back over your last several interviews or even over your career, and certain questions come up a lot. Tell me about a time you've led a team. Tell me about a conflict that you've had with a coworker. Tell me about a time that you failed or a challenge you've been through. Write down that list, and this is your target list for this exercise. Then step 2 is to build at least one story for each of those questions, using STAR or CAR: situation, task, action, result, or challenge, action, result. So for each question, you want to pick a real example from your career, start with the challenge, give them some context, then talk about the actions that you took, then hit on the result. What changed because of it? Keep each outline short there and just a few bullet points, not a script. I don't want you to memorize it word for word. I just want you to have some structure to your stories. Step 3 is to make sure every story lands on the business impact. So a story that ends with something like "it worked out well" is technically a result. It worked out well, but it's really forgettable. How can you improve that result? How is that tied to the main goals for the company? So a story that ends with something like "we cut processing time by 3 weeks" or "we improved something else by 20% is one that's much more memorable and powerful. Step 4 is to practice saying it out loud. We all sound eloquent in our own heads, but saying it clearly under pressure is a completely different thing. So say each story out loud at least once, ideally with another person, but if not, record it on your phone. You'll hear where you ramble or where you lose train of thought or where the ending to your story falls flat. One more tip is that a lot of stories can actually be used for more than one question. So you might have a story that you use for a communication question, but it can also be appropriate for a question about influence or a question about judgment or a question about handling a difficult client. So feel free to adapt your stories. Building out your stories is the single highest leverage hour that you can spend before your next interview. Good luck.